Ladies and gentlemen, welcome right back to the YouTube channel. Today, we got a little bit of a different setup here, and I think this is phenomenal. I think the lighting and everything on this setup right here is perfect, and I'm going to try to continue with that setup going forward. But as of today, this is your WWE Money in the Bank 2020 review. Before I begin, I highly urge everybody to hit the like button. The like button pushes it out in front of a large variety of people, and the more likes, the more popular it is on the recommended section. Subscribers is also very important. When you go to a YouTube channel and you see someone that has X amount of subscribers, you're going to subscribe to them because you know that you can trust them because all of the people that are following them like their content, okay? Someone that has 3 subscribers is not going to get as much attention as somebody that has 3,000. This Money in the Bank show was all over the place, okay? Because I honestly felt like I almost didn't know what I was watching. I'm sitting here and I'm watching the show, and I'm watching the show, and one of the things that comes straight to my mind is the first hour or hour and a half of this show was not important. It was not important. I didn't feel like anything that happened in the first hour was relevant, okay? The SmackDown Tag Title match was a spot fest and it felt rushed. Was it good? It wasn't bad. Didn't really mind it. RTruth and Bobby Lashley, don't even know why it happened. SmackDown Women's title, didn't need to be defended, didn't care about the match, don't even know why Tamina has the title shot. Okay? The main event consisted of 2 ladder matches, and to be honest with you, it felt the furthest thing away from a ladder match. Now, we know their situation, we knew they were in the headquarters, but it literally was just a complete battle royal for 20 minutes. That just didn't feel like it made sense. There were moments in the match that were just, I feel like they tried to be funny. There were certain things that I felt WWE did in their matches, or in the 2 ladder matches, that I did enjoy. I liked the segment with Vince. I thought that was funny. Bruce Pritchard, John Laurinaitis, a lot of these guys that work backstage that you don't typically see. For those of you who don't know, Bruce Pritchard is, I believe, the lead writer for SmackDown, and Laurinaitis is also works for Talent Relations. He used to obviously be an on-screen general manager and on-screen character as well. Vince especially. We're not typically used to seeing Vince nowadays too much on television, so that was a nice little spot. But let's review this show, because honestly, I really can't say I enjoyed myself. I don't think that this show really gave me kind of what I needed and what I wanted. It just felt like it was there. Opening the show. Now, typically WWE likes to go the route where they have the tag team matches open the show, and I'm okay with that. It was the New Day defending their SmackDown Tag Team titles against the Miz and Morrison versus the Forgotten Sons and the Lucha House Party. Grand Metalik, now this is off of CBS Sports. I'm going to put my own mix into it, but I'm also going to read this as well. Grand Metalik had some long hair with his mask on tonight. There was a big early spot that saw Metalik hitting a top rope Spanish fly into Morrison, onto the other competitors at ringside. He jumped off and hit that. Lucha House Party was a standout team in this match. They had a lot of big spots, and we kind of expected that. They were very flashy, and Lucha House Party tends to be very flashy, and I feel like sometimes they're almost too flashy. They stood out among all the chaos like they were during the 8-man tag team that we just saw on SmackDown 2 days before the show that made no sense. The Miz made a blind tag which led to a believable near fall with Morrison hitting Starship Pain on Big E for a 2 count. After Jackson Riker was ejected from ringside and LHP took out 2 heel teams, Big E hit a nice big ending on Grand Metalik for the pinfall, and a very solid but a short good match of the night. New Day retains their tag team titles. I didn't expect them to lose the tag team titles. I really didn't. I hate to say it, but let me just get a drink here real quick. The tag team titles don't mean anything in WWE, and they haven't for a long time. The New Day are a very good team. They've been around for many years. Forgotten Sons, I didn't think they were going to put the titles on them this quick. The Miz and Morrison, it is what it is. I don't really care for them too much. And the Lucha House Party is just a team that is full of spots that was just put into that match. The Lucha House Party, I feel like, will never have any type of recognition from this company, especially recognition that they should get. But the New Day does defeat all the teams and retain their tag team titles. And the next match, you know what? I went to the bathroom, or I went to the kitchen to get a drink as this match was happening, and I came back and it was over. It was RTruth versus Bobby Lashley. Now, this match was actually supposed to be RTruth versus MVP. However, Lashley interrupted a back-and-forth session in the ring. MVP told him to take the night off. After Truth protested the idea of not getting the night off like MVP, the match was made official. Not long after, Lashley turned Truth inside out with a spear And that was what it was. It was a squash match where Bobby Lashley buried RTruth, and it was what it was. This is a match that you'll see on Monday Night Raw. You will probably see this match again tonight, okay? Don't care, not relevant, all right? Next up was the SmackDown Women's Championship match. This match was boring, and I don't really think it had too much to do with Bayley. I just think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Tamina's just not interesting. She's not interesting. Before the match, Bayley said that she didn't blame Sasha Banks for Tamina pinning her on SmackDown. Bayley attempted to taunt Tamina early, telling her, "You ain't gonna win the title being nice." After Bayley tried to cut down the power game of Tamina by working over the knee, she caught a super kick. She turned into a leg lock. Bayley dominated the offense for a long stretch of the match. And let me be honest with you. I'm going to be very clear with you. Majority of this match, I found myself looking at Sasha Banks because she looks damn good. Okay? Sasha Banks is really what I was looking at during the majority of this match because, again, I don't care about Tamina. Bayley's great and all, but the match was boring. We already knew it was going to happen. We knew there was a 100% chance that Bayley was not losing this title. Bayley attempted to counter Tamina's splash. It backfired into a super kick and a Samoan drop. Banks, however, feigned interference, causing a distraction, and it then allowed Bayley to hit an awkward crucifix pin for the victory. An awkward ending, a match that I didn't care about. Bayley retains the SmackDown Women's Championship on Money in the Bank. It is what it is. WWE has to do the right thing here. If they are smart, they will push this out to have a match with Bayley and Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. Assuming, hopefully, we have a crowd at SummerSlam. You have to have Sasha do the heel turn. You have to do it right. And I think that that's what they're leaning towards because the longer this team is together, the more it's going to feel, okay? We know it's coming. And that SummerSlam has to result in Sasha winning the title and being back on top because she's been very good throughout this pandemic. I think she's been very interesting. Bayley and Sasha have benefited, I feel like, a lot. Seth Rollins has benefited a lot from this. We're going to get to him in a little while. The next match, Roman Reigns, not even long before Roman Reigns was in the picture, Goldberg screwed up the entire Universal picture. He buried Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. He was then scheduled to drop the title at WrestleMania to Roman Reigns, who backed out. Braun Strowman was put in the picture. Braun Strowman buried Goldberg. Braun Strowman was given the title because Roman Reigns did not fight at WrestleMania. Okay. The thing here was that Braun Strowman was fighting Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship. Not only that, he was fighting Bray Wyatt. He was not fighting The Fiend. He was not fighting any of these, this alter ego that is on a godlike level. Now, prior to this match, I didn't have too much interest in it. I really didn't. But as the match happened, the match was not that bad. It really wasn't. It really wasn't. He was wrestling as Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. Strowman brutalized his challenger early. It led Wyatt to laugh and comment on Strowman's strength. After Strowman was thrown into the ringside table, Huskus the Pig Boy appeared at ringside to cheer Wyatt on. Again, that's one of the things they can benefit from is to do these cinematic-like angles because there is no crowd, and that's certain things that they need to capitalize. Strowman kicked out of Sister Abigail from Wyatt early and left the challenger baffled before Strowman countered with a second attempt at the move with a chokeslam. Strowman pulled the black sheep mask out from under the ring, and this was a nice part of the bit. It caused Wyatt to go into a state of annihilation, saying, "Do you understand what this means? I promise you, this time everything will be perfect." The two then hugged in the center of the ring, while the Firefly Funhouse puppet celebrated on the outside. It showed Braun wore his mask that he wore when he was in the Wyatt family. And he got on his knees, and he was kind of bowing down to Bray, who was clearly the leader of the Wyatt family as they existed. And it almost showed that with this mask on, Braun was in another state, and he remembered his roots. However, it was all just a ploy. Strowman then shoved Wyatt and pulled off the mask. He threw it on the floor and stomped on it. Before then, he hit a running power slam for a 3 count that told a much better story than the weeks of TV leading to the event. To be honest with you, the finish of this match and the match itself was a lot better than I expected it to be. I actually expected for this match to not be that good. I wasn't really excited. And I'm not going to sit here and say it was the greatest match because it really wasn't. But the ending and the story that was told at the end of the match was very good. And I think they went about the finish of this match very well. But Braun Strowman retains his Universal Championship, and we're going to see what happens from there. The best, probably on-paper match of the night was Drew McIntyre defending his WWE Championship against Seth Rollins. Now, I was also very critical of this. I was critical of Rollins getting put into a WWE title match, particularly when he just lost at WrestleMania. You lost to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, here's your reward. It's a WWE title match. However, the feud that they built in such a little time has been very intriguing. It's been very intriguing. I think that Rollins has entered the sinister phase, and he had this new theme song, which I thought was great yesterday. And they've honestly fed off of each other very well. McIntyre quickly got the advantage of Rollins, knocking him from the ring and telling him, I'm going to let you have a breather. Rollins, playing the crafty former champion to McIntyre's overenthusiastic new champion, took over the match and began wearing McIntyre down with a series of leg submissions before several jumping knee strikes to the head. After a McIntyre comeback, Rollins was prepped for the champ's signature moves. He was ducking out of the ring to avoid a Claymore kick and also countering a Future Shock DDT before hitting a super kick and a frog splash, both of which only resulted in counts. And irate Rollins attempted to bring a steel chair into the ring, but thought better of it because the referee told him he would lose the match. It kept going after Rollins was able to kick out of his successful Future Shock DDT. Rollins eventually countered a Claymore kick with a super kick and a stomp towards the end. For whatever reason, at this point in the match, I don't know why, I thought that there was legitimately a chance that McIntyre was going to lose the title. I mean, I knew he wasn't, but at the same time, I was like, wow, is this really going to happen? He kicked out and won, though. The finishing run came at the end when McIntyre hit a glass cow kick headbutt, followed by a Rollins super kick, which was immediately followed by a Claymore kick for the pin. This was a very good match. McIntyre's in-ring work has been far and away the best of his career. Since winning the title, Drew McIntyre has been gold. He has been gold. McIntyre defeats Rollins and retains his WWE title. This was a great match. If you are one of those people where it's like, well, I got to go back and watch a match from Money in the Bank, watch this match because this was a good match. McIntyre looked great. Rollins looked great. And to be honest with you, I have to give them credit because I was not a big fan of this feud as it was going to happen. But they really, for the time frame that they had, they did this really, really well. They did this really well. McIntyre is gold. Now, the Money in the... They shortened this. And this show, to be honest with you, could have been about 3 hours. If you put the women's on and then you follow the men's, but a lot of times they don't like to put 2 ladder matches back to back because they want to bring the crowd down and back up. So what I probably would have did was had the women's ladder match and then maybe be like Truth and Lashley, which nobody really cared about, to bring the crowd down. Again, there's no crowd to begin with, but they both happened at the same time. Now, I'm going to review them and I'm going to break them down differently, okay? You know, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to, I don't think CBS has it on here. I would like to review them separately. But I'm going to ring this, and this is all at the same time here. So I want everybody to try to bear with me here. Again, there's going to be a lot going on here. But they happened at the same time. This was an ambiguous attempt to once again capture the magic of 2 cinematic matches from WrestleMania 36. Those matches that were on WrestleMania were home runs. This was not quite so much. This was kind of just a comedy fest of different moments, you know. And again, that's one of the things that I wasn't really a big fan of. I don't like it's weird. It's really weird because both of these matches were kind of comedy. You know, you wanted to get serious. It's a ladder match. Let's get brutal. But it really wasn't any seriousness. I felt like these 2 ladder matches were, first off, there were barely any ladders involved. There was barely anything in the ring. I felt like WWE should have separated the headquarters wrestling, and they should have did 50-50, because what they did was they did about 80% of it in the headquarters and 20% outside. We should have seen at least some ladder match. But I did like the fact that there was a ring set up. So it was not like they went to the top of the roof and all of a sudden there's the briefcase, they win. Okay. This was, like I said, it was a cinematic experience. The matches featured cameos from Brother Love, Paul Heyman, Stephanie and Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Doink. It was all over the place. Many moments from the match included Asuka diving from the banister onto the rest of the women in the lobby. That was a big spot. Perhaps King Corbin was breaking a mirror. He threw a mirror at the gym, or he threw a weight, and it hit the gym mirror. Otis was trapping AJ Styles under a bench press bar. You know, it was kind of just all over the place. But let's review it. We're gonna give it a shot. Um, you know, this is it's kind of hard to review this. It really is. Um, but let's give it a shot. The men's match started in the gym. While the women were in the lobby, Asuka drove onto the women from a second-story balcony. She jumped very early, quickly jumping into the elevator to leave the rest of the field in the dust. Corbin threw a weight plate, men's Money in the Bank, threw a men plate into a mirror. It broke, and he looked concerned about the ramification of possible bad luck, because that's one of the things that I didn't think about when Corbin actually threw that into the mirror, the bad luck. Moments later, we saw Rey Mysterio run into Brother Love in the bathroom. There were also appearances from someone dressed as doing makeup and Stephanie McMahon. Styles found himself in an empty room. Styles made his way around the corner to try to figure out where Rey Mysterio was in this match, and he saw a poster of The Undertaker. Undertaker's music began to play, and it kind of began to give AJ Styles nightmares about his Boneyard match at WrestleMania. He then opened the door that was near that frame, and inside of it was a casket and The Undertaker's music. I loved what they did there. I thought that was really good. They eventually ran into Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was seated at a buffet of food where the men and women began a brief food fight. This was very cheesy. Despite having just eaten in the previous room, Otis became distracted in the cafeteria and was about to eat a pie when he was interrupted by John Laurinaitis. Great to see John Laurinaitis. Before hitting the former general manager with a pie, the next cameo came from Vince McMahon, and I love this. After Styles and Bryan brawled into his office and were quickly thrown out. Styles and Bryan brawled right into Vince's office. Vince turned around, he looked at him, and he said, "What the hell are you guys doing here?" Okay? They said, oh my God. You know, they were clearly, showing that Vince was superior. They put both of the chairs that were out of place back. The women, however, were the first ones to make it to the roof. It was just Asuka, Lacey Evans, and Nia Jax making it to that portion of the match. Nobody else really did. Asuka was able to climb the ladder and retrieve the briefcase after knocking Corbin from the ladder. That was interesting. They kind of showed them both there at the same time. Asuka was the first winner. Asuka wins women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Otis and Corbin then were the first men to the roof. They were followed by Rey Mysterio, Black, Bryan, and Styles. Styles and Corbin were on top of the ladder, both battling for the briefcase, both holding onto it as it was unhooked. Elias showed up, and he hit Corbin with a guitar. It knocked Corbin from the ladder. It caused Styles, who had the briefcase, to fumble the briefcase, and he dropped it into the hands of Otis, who caught it. Otis wins the men's Money in the Bank briefcase. Okay. Now, the comedy-like fashion that was taken place in this show, I really did enjoy. Okay? I enjoyed a lot of that. But it didn't feel like it was a match. And I think that they really got the winners wrong. Let's talk about Asuka winning. Asuka winning is not necessary. Because now we're going to see a Becky and Asuka feud, which isn't probably bad, but it's not necessary. You had Shayna fight Becky. They had this brutal feud that they were building. Becky won, and now all of a sudden it just doesn't exist. So now what is Shayna Baszler now? Is that it? Like, we're just going to throw the Becky and Shayna Baszler story out of the equation? Is that where we're going now? That doesn't matter now? Shayna needed to win this Money in the Bank because she lives up to a heel, and she lives up to a cash-in that screws people over. I'd love to see Shayna Baszler cash in on Becky Lynch after whoever she fights at SummerSlam. I could love to see that and have her win the title. The men's one is an even more problem because the men's Money in the Bank was even less exciting. Otis winning was a huge mistake. I like Otis. I'm fully behind him. I really am. I think the guy's great. Problem is that he's not a believable champion right now. The Intercontinental title, Otis cannot have an exciting match with Sami Zayn. Okay. United States title, I can't picture Otis and Andrade having anything exciting. Okay. Don't even get me started about the world title. Otis winning was a mistake. Okay. You could say what you want about the match, but Otis winning Money in the Bank was a huge mistake. Okay? It has nothing to do with talent. Otis is very talented. He's good. I like him. I do. He is not ready for this opportunity yet. Okay? You can say what you want about him. Okay? Again, I like him. I think the guy's great. But he is not ready for a championship opportunity because nobody that holds a title right now would lose to Otis and make it believable. I'm sorry. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching. This was your Money in the Bank full show review. We're going to maybe roll out some baseball stuff this week. As always, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe and make good decisions.